Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I love to start off every morning with a hot black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. And my all-time favorite coffee mug with the quote of the century by Oscar Wilde. Life is too important to be taken seriously, so lighten up, folks. Speaking of lightening up, coffee and Kahlua, the best way to kickstart any morning. So, today's topic of conversation is New York City nightlife. Now, as you know, I've said it repeatedly, I'm an old girl, 55. So I'm going to talk about old school New York City nightlife. From when I was in my late teenage years and 20s and going out. Now, all of those clubs back then, for the most part, don't even exist anymore. I kind of missed the whole Studio 54 phase because that was in the 70s and I was barely a teenager at that point. I was born in 65. So I caught like the tail end of that. But like in the 80s when I first started going out, like all of the big clubs that were the place to go to, the Roxy, Tracks, Tunnel, Palladium, Limelight. I mean, who remembers Limelight, the church that had all those different floors on, I think, 20th and 6th, or the Saint, which is where the original Black Party started. I remember going to the Saint when one of the first Black parties and the white parties, and they had all these different floors, and they had these this balcony area where people would go and like mess around, and they even had lockers up there. And I remember my friends and we all used to go to Hunter College, and on a Thursday night we would go there, and that was like, their big gay night. And we even had a locker. So we, of course we were like poor students. So we would get like a bottle of vodka and like have it in the locker and like fix our drinks and economize that way. And the top floor had this dome so you absolutely had no idea what time of day it was. And, typical Thursday night for me was where I would be there till 7:30 in the morning and then just go directly to class. I was at Hunter College, as I said, and I would pretty much be up all night and then suddenly have a full day of classes. You could do that when you're 18, 19, 20. Now at this age, I wouldn't be able to. But, all of those places, there was such a feel of like love and family and community. And, I don't know if that's so much out there now. Like, I'm not that familiar, frankly, with all the big clubs that are out there now, but it was such a different era back then. That was also when I first started doing drag, which was in 87. So like, even like all of the drag queens from back then, even that was this sense of, family and sisterhood that I'm not saying it's still not out there now, but, the old school days, I always use the term old school because, hey, I guess I'm old school, but it was always this great feeling, and you always met wonderful people, and it was always just so much fun. And, it was, you were there to socialize. You weren't there to like be on your cell phones like everyone is now. You go, even when you go to a dance club, if someone isn't on the dance floor, they'll be at the bar looking at their phones, usually on Grindr or Scruff, trying to see who's around. That wasn't how it was back then. Back then you went out there and you went to all of these big places and, you had fun. Like I said, Tracks, Tunnel, Paradise Garage. I know I'm forgetting a whole lot of them. I do actually write about all of these places in my self-published memoir, so I'm going to do a little plug here. The Life and Crimes of Fiona St. James. And I chronicle all of that, and I tell stories of, all of the shenanigans and things that went on in all of these different places. I miss those days. It's not to say that it's still not fun out there, but it's different. And like anything in life, everything is evolving and, hopefully changing for the better. I don't go out the way I used to because, frankly, I don't think it's as much fun as it used to be. But, fun is what you make of it. And so, I always try to have fun wherever you go. But yeah, what are your thoughts, guys? For those of you who are from my generation, do you miss all of those clubs? Did you go to all of those places and, have all the crazy fun stories that I have? Tell me about it, or do you think it's equally as fun these days? Do you love still going out to the clubs that are out there now? Is it different? I think it is. And different isn't necessarily bad or good or indifferent or anything. It's just, like I said, everything in life changes. And, I change. We all change. That's part of growing. And, you just go along with it and everything is good. So I am going to make this video a little shorter than normal because, let's face it, I can sometimes ramble on. They used to call me Rambolinas, but that's a whole other situation. That's the Central Park story, which I'll do in a different video. But yeah, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button and by all means the notification button so that you could be alerted when I put up a new video. And yeah, if you're interested in reading more about the good old days of New York City nightlife, you can get my book at the website, which is FionaSt.James.com, or the title of the book, The Life and Crimes of FionaSt.James.com. And for only $14.95, you too can read about all the scandalous things that happened back then and in my life and how I played a part of that amazing world that, isn't exactly what it was, or it's a different world now, but it's not the world that it was back then because, those places are no longer in existence. But when they were, that heyday of it all, to me, there was nothing like it. So, okay, guys, thanks again for tuning in. Love you. Bye.